I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but I value my privacy.
During the apocalypse, like, I'm going to find George. And wherever he's off grid,
if you can
he's
find
survivalist.
We're going to find George and we're going to take him to Joe's land. And we're all going to hang out.
And I think I want to be a producer, not a consumer. And I'm always talking to my kids about that. Like, you need to have the mindset of with every opportunity, with every crisis comes new opportunities, new things. So wealth doesn't disappear, it transfers.
By the way, anyone listening probably want to rewind and listen to those points again. It's super powerful. But people who are succeeding during these times are leaning into them. They're not retreating. All right, welcome to the official Expert Talk, the first ever Expert Talk. Joined by me today are our fellow Board of Expert members who were daring enough, and may I say possibly stupid enough, to participate in the first pilot episode of a series that might just get us canceled on day one. I have no idea. Let's find out. But with us today is the queen of community and creating connections, Kaci. What's up, Kaci?
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Hi, Kaci.
Yeah, just made that up on the spot. And as you guys will know, we do know each other, so we are all part of the same mastermind. So I'm hoping we'll go at each other a little bit. We also have our own Bill Gates of our community buying up all the land he can find. Joe, what's up, Mr. Joe McCall?
Mr. Anik, hey, glad to be here.
All right. And then we've got, are you ready for this, George? We've got the guy who's always asking the legal questions, George Shepard. George, you didn't know that about you, did you? At every event I watch, he's always worried about the legal stuff. He's like, what are the legal ramifications of this or of that? And I find that intriguing about you. Were you a lawyer? Did you ever want to be a lawyer? Did you find...
I thought how much money I would save by just going through a law course. I met somebody that's actually a lawyer that did not go to law school, and I was completely enamored by the idea that you can be a lawyer and just pass the bar. I'm like,
whoa. But that's California though, right? That's a California thing.
Is it? I don't know. I mean, yeah, I lived in California, and that's when I kind of heard about this, but it might be, maybe.
That's a California thing. I am telling you right now, I look at my legal bills every month, and I've been trying to convince my wife to go to law school. Haven't succeeded yet. I did get her to become a realtor to save us a realtor fees, but she won't bite on this. Well, guys, thank you, and gals, thank you for being a part of our first ever pilot episode. We're going to talk about digital marketing stuff. We're going to talk about worldly stuff, and just see where this conversation goes. But just again, for our audience, these are our Board of Expert members. They're successful. They're smart, I think. We'll find out. And we're going to dive right in. So, ladies and gentlemen, one word that I'm getting a little tired of hearing about it now. But it's big. I get it. I'm just getting tired of hearing about it. ChatGPT. True story. I'm going to bed last night. My wife's on her laptop. And so my wife is a TEDx sponsor. So we host TEDx Rockville here at the Learn Center. And she is using this thing. So she looks at me and she goes, I just wrote the entire program directory for our next TEDx event. And I'm like, what the? And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm using ChatGPT. So she has created the logo she actually went to ChatGPT, asked for logo ideas, then went to a logo AI thing, typed in what ChatGPT said, came out with the logo, shows it to me. I'm like, man, that's amazing. Thinking my design team did such a great job. She's like, nope, did this with AI. ChatGPT gave me the idea. She's using it like crazy. She's writing all kinds of stuff. I find it fascinating actually watching people who are not marketers using ChatGPT. But now beyond that, there's a webinar happening tonight that I bought. I'm going to have to watch a replay. 35 AI tools this person's using to run their business. This is getting kind of crazy now. So I'm going to kick it off with Joe. What do you think? What's going on? Are you in? Are you out? Does it change the world? Are we going to all get destroyed by AI? What are your thoughts?
Man, at first I was scared of it because I didn't know it. Then I started digging in more and more into it. We had a presentation at our last mastermind. What was that lady's name?
Alicia?
Yes.
Alicia.
Yeah. And that kind of like, finally, I looked at what she just did and I thought, okay, I get it. That's pretty cool. And this is after hearing about AI and ChatGPT for months and months. But when she explained it, how basically it was a presentation on how you could use AI to write a book and write a really good book, not a dumb book, but something that you would read yourself and proofread and edit and make it real. But like when she started sharing all the examples of what you could do with it, I kind of started softening up a little bit. I still think, I got so many opinions on it. I'm still kind of on the fence though, man. I'm kind of like, I've tried using it before. And
what has not impressed you about it? Why are you in the fence? Like what's making you say, I don't really like it?
Because
can it buy real estate, Joe?
No, it can't buy real estate. Here's the thing, I do real estate deals. It's not going to help me do more deals. It might help me when I'm writing a description of a property to put on my advertisements for that property or on the MLS. So it might help me write better descriptions for properties. It might help me with social media, trying to put content out there. But here's the thing that the reason why I think I've done so well in my business is people join my list, they buy my stuff because I'm Joe McCall, right? Like they can relate to me. I talk a lot about being a family guy. I talk a lot about working from home and going on long, extensive trips with my wife and our 4 kids. I talk about my story. And if anytime I've tried to hire an outside copywriter, good copywriters, my copy always does better than theirs. Because I'm not saying you shouldn't hire copywriters, but you've got to learn how to write in your own voice. And chat does not replace your own voice. There's nothing wrong with being you. And if you're trying to,
they claim it can. I mean, they say it can, they claim it can, right? I mean, it says right now that you can say write in the voice of, and it'll do it. And you can train it to be Joe McCall. I mean, so you're not quite buying that yet, though. You're not like
pretty amazing. The other day I took one of my pastor's like 15-minute sermons. He does these things every day on YouTube. I took one of his 15-minute sermons and I told ChatGPT to summarize it and to then give me bullet points. And I even asked it to write that sermon in Ebonics, and it didn't like it, so it wouldn't let me do it. So then I asked it to write it in, this is embarrassing. I asked it to write it in a gangster African-American dialect or something like that. And it actually did it. And then I asked it to write it in like a Southern drawl, redneck or whatever. But like, here's the thing, before I made it trying to do funny things, whatever, it was summarizing his video in his language. It was amazing. So here's the way I'm using ChatGPT right now that I'm finding the most useful for me is not writing my sales pages or my emails. I think like when I'm writing my sales pages, my emails, I want it to be me writing it, not someone else. That's something that I want to control and own. But what I am using it for is I've got a lot of videos that I want to watch. And when I'm looking for content ideas, I can give it, there's a Chrome extension for YouTube where you can say, summarize this video for me, right?
Do you know what it's called? I know that was brought up at the last event. I didn't write down what it was called.
There's 2 of them. And I will open up, I got YouTube open right now. And if I click on one of these videos I'm looking at, there is a button called transcript and summary, and another one called Chat GPT summary. And let me give you the name of them right here. One of them is YouTube Digest.
YouTube Digest.
And YouTube Summary with Chat GPT.
YouTube Summary, but that's not a very creative name, but okay, got it.
That's just the name of the extension as I'm looking at it here. So what it does is you have a video up there on YouTube and you can click on, give me a transcript and a summary. And so I subscribe to the Chat GPT Pro, $20 a month or whatever.
Yeah. So
you have to have that open in another tab. So you're logged into Chat GPT already. So you click that button, it'll transcribe it and then copy and paste that transcript and a command that says summarize this into your Chat GPT window. And then you can play with it. You can say, rewrite this into 10 bullet points or rewrite it into 3 paragraphs. So that's been good to help me generate ideas for content creation.
Okay. So you're using it for research. Now, I did see an ad. So back to your point, George, I saw an ad. So Joe, I don't BS or not, it wouldn't be using ChatGPT, but now there's all these other AIs. I'll let everyone know I'm actually working on my own little AI project, which is kind of cool. No one else is doing it yet. So let's see when I'm ready to shine it, but it doesn't use ChatGPT at all. But I saw an ad the other day and literally I was like, I think I've seen it all. And it was an ad that said, use AI to find your next property. And I was wondering, because you have a certain formula that you use to find properties. And so I'm just wondering if there was a way to create a tool that would go out and just look for all that and feed it back to you.
What has been annoying is all these marketers that are saying AI, and it's really...
And that's not AI. Yes, that's not AI.
It's a different version of Go High Level, right? Or it's a white labeled version of some software. But here's what I have seen somebody do that's very fascinating. Because all this talk about AI, they thought about, they took Typeform. Typeform is like an online form generator. You can put in information, and it has a bunch of programming language kind of inside. So you can say, if they say this, then do this. And so he's got this really complicated, incredible Typeform. So when you're negotiating with a seller, it acts like AI. So basically asks the homeowner, if you're trying to make them an offer to buy their property, it asks them a bunch of questions about the property. Then it asks them, well, what do you think it's worth? And then it asks them, well, what's the least you would accept for this property? And then it asks them, I don't know if I can get you that price, but if I'm probably going to, and it calculates a potential offer range. And then it says, if you won't accept that, would you accept something like this, a higher price, if they do owner financing or seller financing or something? So it asks these series of questions and takes them down this roadmap of like trying to determine their motivation, trying to determine how much equity they have in the house. Is their mortgage current or in default? How much do they owe on the property? What are their monthly payments? Would they be open to leasing their property? So it's just a Typeform, but he advertises it as AI.
Well, so basically it's removing a lot of human functions, right? So it's doing, and I think right now that seems to, I haven't seen something to replace yet, but I've seen something to reduce drastically the workload. I did something last night. Yeah, I did something last night that was pretty interesting, and I'll share in a minute. But before I do that, Kaci, let's bounce to you real quick. Where are you on this? Are you thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs neutral?
I am totally thumbs up on this. I think it leverages the starting point of the pulling the trigger to get to a faster first draft, and like leveraging our experience and our voice and editing to the point where we can get more out the door. I used it and I was pretty shy with it. I didn't understand it. I didn't know how to use it. And Alicia came in there like a boss and taught us how to do the prompts and everything like that. And I think if you're listening and you're having issues understanding how to leverage ChatGPT, it is all about the prompts, like garbage in, garbage out. If you don't put the right prompts in.
What's a prompt?
It's a conversation style. And maybe that's why I like having fun with it, because like, I'll be like, hey, ChatGPT, what's up? We're going to do this today. Let me know if you understand. And it'll have a conversation with me. So it's a conversation with a computer.
Input. Yeah. It's the input of instructions you're giving it. And what I'm finding, and that's becoming its own business right now, where like people are selling prompts. There's prompt communities. And I was genuinely like, what the hell is a prompt? But yeah, you actually can really feed it specifics. And the more specific you get, like it outputs better stuff apparently. So anyways, continue.
Yeah. And I think that, it's interesting to watch the marketplace. There's always the first market movers who are going to sell a lot of 101 courses. They're going to sell a lot of digital products on the prompts and things like that. But for me to leverage the tool the way that you truly can, I really think you should play around with your own prompts and you could understand. We had, so my oldest son is 17. He's already gotten in trouble with it at school because he used it to write a research paper and he turned it in. And I did teach him, how to go and make sure that he makes it his own and things like that. So now he has the steps moving forward.
Wait, how did they find out?
They copied and pasted it and put it in ChatGPT, and the teacher asked ChatGPT, "Did you write this?"
Oh, no way.
Oh, crap. And it was honest and it said yes.
Yes, I did.
You know what's the scariest thing about that is ChatGPT remembers that it wrote that.
Yeah.
So the question is, how many things have you put into ChatGPT that it remembers? Where is that information going? And how long will it be stored online? How will it be used against you?
Yes. I did not know this. I did not know. This is new. This is new.
When you introduced George that way, where he's always asking the legal questions, I was like, yes, we're going to be talking about ChatGPT. And I want to know that. Like, there's so many back and forth about, like, are you losing your IP? What is it doing with the inputs that you're putting in? Are you essentially just moving all of your teachings and giving it away?
Well, George, you did ask about that. That was one of the legal questions you asked, where you said, do you have commercial rights to use? And so there's been a fascinating conversation happening about the fact that, listen, we as creators, we write content, we publish it, we have blog posts, blah, 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 right? And Google, you go to Google and search, and Google sends us traffic. Google doesn't answer the question. It sends it to us. We can then monetize, build community. And so there's an incentive for us to create this content that is ours, that we created. Now, all of a sudden, ChatGPT studied all of our content and indexed all of it and will create its own answer. And as of the moment, doesn't say where it got it from and didn't send us any love or traffic or anything. And so as Bing is releasing this, everyone's saying, whoa, hold on a second. Who owns that content? What are the rights? And how come ChatGPT gets to now monetize all of it? What the hell is the point of us even creating the content? And so, I mean, there are people right now that are saying, okay, the lawsuits are coming. It's going to be a massive, and it's going to reach Congress, because we don't have like, I don't know, right? What do you do? How do you've got people re-summarizing. I mean, I can take a quote off of somebody and type it in and say, reword this. And now it's Anik Singal's quote. Like, is that really right? Same question goes with Midjourney. You're creating artwork off of someone else's artwork. Who has the rights to that? I don't think there is really a legal there's going to be a big thing. I mean,
they tried this before, Anik. I was in the music industry, and remember when sampling was a big deal? The rappers, the hip hop artists started sampling, and there was a lot of like lawsuits. They would sample Sting's music, they would sample Elvis's music or whatever else, or even like Michael Jackson's music. And those estates or the attorneys, the people are going after these hip hop artists because, like, no, you can't use that because it's the hook, it's the melody, it's what people kind of remember, that they kind of associate it with that. And they ultimately ended up losing, but they came to a compromise, and that was you can use a certain amount of that. There's a certain amount of seconds you can use in a sample, and then when you use more than that, then it becomes plagiarism, or it becomes what they call a derivative work in the music industry, where you're creating a new work based on another work, or piecing that together. I think that's where we're going to end up with the ChatGPT stuff at some point in time. There's going to be a point where it's like, because remember, like with Google stopped showing results, if you remember this, and there's some lawsuits about that even, where people were saying, hey, instead of sending me results to my page, you're actually just displaying my information on Google so they never have to leave, right?
The preview, yeah.
And that's going to end up being the ChatGPT thing too, that no one's going to ever have to leave ChatGPT,
Well, and so the big conversation there is also Google, Microsoft. I mean, they're ad driven. So you're annihilating your own source of revenue, because if you're answering questions that quickly, no one's clicking ads. It's interesting. It's interesting where it's going to go. So I'll tell you a little experiment I ran against the wishes of my sister. My nephews were visiting for Christmas, and my older one, he's 11. And I was like, hey, have you heard of ChatGPT? And he's like, what's that? And I was like, hey. And my sister's like, don't do it. Do not. And I'm like, no, I'm going to sit down with him, talk to him. Don't use it in school, yada, yada, yada. And he loved it, to the point where we're playing video games upstairs. And do you know what he asked me? He said, Mamu, which means uncle. He's like, can I go downstairs and play with ChatGPT? I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, sure. Go ahead. So I went to my computer downstairs. He didn't close out the prompts. So I went later and I was curious. And that was the first time I ever saw someone use it as a search engine. In my head, I'd never actually thought of ChatGPT as a search engine, but that's how he used it. At 11-year-old, who is this? What is that? Who created this? Who founded that? And then one of his questions was, is school good for life? And I was like, I guess I know what's going through his head right now. But then I noticed.
What was the answer on it?
You know what? I don't remember. I didn't read it. I don't remember. I know I was doing 15 things, and I just kind of scanned his questions, and we can go type it in and see what it says. I'm pretty sure it'll be a politically correct answer, or lately it's doing a lot more of that. I'm just AI and I don't have an opinion on this. Like, I've been seeing it be a lot more neutral lately than it was like a month ago. I used it in a really interesting way recently where I write these long posts on the Expert Summit Facebook group, and I was getting inspired by someone else on Twitter, because I'm like all about Twitter right now too. And they gave this strategy on like how you should write Twitter threads. So I took that post, and I didn't want it to be word for word the same. So I copy pasted into ChatGPT, and I said, rewrite this as a Twitter thread. And it literally came back and said, tweet 1, tweet 2, tweet 3, tweet 4, tweet 5, tweet 6. It was excellent. And it rewrote it. So it wasn't the same words, but it was great. Then I just copied and pasted those and created a Twitter thread. And I was talking to my developer, and he's like, oh, we could automate that. So I could make it so that as soon as it pops that out, boom, it just goes and creates a Twitter thread for you. And then I wanted to create what I have learned recently is called a LinkedIn carousel, which is a hot thing on LinkedIn where you create like this click forward, long post, but like forward driving. It's a lot of engagement. It becomes a PDF. You have to upload a PDF. So I went to kept the same chat window open, and went to ChatGPT and said, rewrite that Twitter thread as a LinkedIn carousel. So it again reworded it, and it created carousel, like it created a prompt that I copied and pasted into a tool, which I don't remember the name of now, and that outputted a PDF for me, which I then uploaded to LinkedIn, and I had a LinkedIn carousel. And I remember I did all of this in a matter of about 3 minutes, and I sat back, and I remember the first thought that went through my head was, uh-oh. Like, that was an uh-oh moment. I'm like, I'm not using it in the way that a lot of people are using it, but I'm using it for my own self with my own content, and I'm already seeing what would have taken someone 30 minutes to an hour. It was done in 3 minutes.
But Anik, how does it make you feel knowing that somebody else is going to be taking your content that you did write on your socials and then repurposing that for their own and making it their own, taking that?
Personally, I don't give a crap. And I'll just tell you why, because people are already doing it. I'm getting ripped off all the time. Anyways, they can do that, but they're still never going to be the thought leaders. They're still not going to have the original stuff. Like, I'm still going to, like, I get ripped off. All my courses that I sell right now are available on sites where you can download and pay like a $5 a year membership fee and download. Yet here I am still selling. It's never stopped me. So personally, I don't get all worked up about it, but I don't know. Maybe it becomes a bigger problem. But
I think the message needs to be heard to people that are trying to do that, and you're trying to find shortcuts to success and fame and notoriety, and it never works at the end of the day.
No, it won't.
It never will. It's a shortcut that you're trying to take that's not going to guarantee your success at all. It might get you a little attention, but it's short term. It's temporary.
Well, look, each of you here, right? Joe, you're an expert in buying land. George, you do summits. You do more summits than I think there are days in the year. In a year, I don't know how you do it. No one's going to challenge your expertise. And Kaci, like you said, community, connection, between you and your partner, systems. I mean, that's a human brain. I just don't see ChatGPT quite there yet to replace. However, having said that, you guys, and then we'll move to the next topic. You guys saw the video that was created by our very own Jordan. And so the AI world is getting interesting. It's getting creepy. I'm going to bring him on maybe one of these days as a guest on the podcast, but Dan Brock has created a YouTube channel that is, he said, purely AI created. The scripts, the thumbnails, the audios, the videos, everything is AI created. And he's getting like, I'm working off the top of my head. It's like 15,000 views a day or something already. So interesting stuff. All right. Let's flip a little, and I'm going to jump ahead and talk about something I did yesterday. I'm having some mixed thoughts about it. I'm feeling bad, but at the same time, I'm also feeling like I don't give a crap. I don't know. And the person who I did this to might be watching, and if they do, I do apologize at the rash nature of what happened, but there, no names mentioned. There was a person who posted in the Expert Summit Facebook group, and so for everyone watching, I'm curious. This is community management question, right? Comes up online. Posted a pretty long, amazing post, honestly. It was a really well thought out post, and I approved it. And I really liked it. Now, I didn't know who the person was. I haven't had any dealings with them. And apparently, they've come to my events. They've come to the Expert Summit, too. I didn't recognize the name. And I liked the post so much, I tagged everybody. And I said, everyone should read this. So I syndicated it out to 900 people in that group. Within minutes of which, I start getting messages from people that are like, you do not know who you just promoted, bad history, arrests, cons, been banned from many parts of the industry. Here's the real name. I looked them up, didn't look good. And I kind of just did judge, jury, executioner on the spot. I'll tell you what, I was in a bad mood, and it was like late night, and I was like, I just don't have time to deal with this. So deleted post, banned member, removed. And I did personally remove them as a friend as well, because I knew what's going to happen. They're going to see.
I'm looking for it right now and I can't find it.
Yeah. And because
curiosity's getting you, Joe.
Yeah. I'll tell you off the record. I don't want to put anyone on blast. It was a good post though. And I personally unfriended because I don't got the energy. They're going to say, well, that's a lie. This is a lie. Blah, 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 blah. I had like 6 messages in my Facebook within minutes of this thing going off from people I know and trust and like that said, dude, abandon shit, abort. And so I did this, and the person is upset. They're messaging other people I know. They're reaching out to the team. How dare this? Blah blah blah. It's offensive. I'm gonna out Anik to the space. I'm gonna badmouth him. I'm gonna trash him. And I've kind of just let it be. And like then I was like, man, that's not the Anik way. But then I was like, there was no other way that wasn't gonna suck up all my energy in the world. So, George, should I have done it differently? What do you think? Community management. Do you take the word of those 6, 7 people? And
well, so first off, I would say this: if 6 or 7 people are willing to speak up to say there's a problem, there's probably 100 other ones who are just not gonna like speak up. All right, and I've had dealings with other people too, business partners that I only found out after I dissolved that relationship. People came to me afterwards and they said, I'm so glad that you stopped that relationship with this person, because I didn't want to tell you, but I know where the bodies are buried. And they started explaining this, and all these lawsuits and these people that he owes like $10 million to. I'm going, what are you talking about? And then I did the research myself too. And I was like, wow, I really dodged a bullet. So I would say you probably got really lucky. And, not to mention that, but it brings down the community at large. So if that person's in, the group, and that group is supposed to be curated, and it's a group of experts, and you let one bad apple in that group, like the whole group starts to rot.
All right. So Kaci, you're a very sweet person. You're a nice person. Should I have reached out to them before? Should I have given them an opportunity to explain? Should I have engaged in that? All
right. So I'm a very sweet and considerate person, but at the same time, there's a law of averages. And when 6 people immediately reach out to you, I'm also going to go out on a limb and say you're probably pretty close if they reach out to you right away. And there is this communication and there's trust and history with those 6 people, right? So in my opinion, you followed your gut, you checked your energy, this is a free group. They're not paying for access or anything like that, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, do I protect the group? Do I protect my energy? And do I choose not to participate in drama, right? So those are 3 checks that for me, you checked off. Second, there is always a different way to combat these uncomfortable situations, right? If it was me and my post was deleted, the way that I would act and the way that this person act is like polar opposites. I would be like, hey, Anik, I noticed you deleted my post and I just wanted to reach out. Did I do something wrong? Was it I would ask what and how I could fix it. I would be willing, right? Because if I'm truly wanting to contribute, that's this communication style that I come to the table with. Threatening the team, threatening to bash you, like, come on, you totally made the right decision there and dodged a bullet.
That's what someone on the team today said. I think it was Christian in the team. I was telling the story and he goes, well, I guess his behavior or his response to it was proof of your right decision. And that was, that was where I felt like me communicating and saying, hey, I've deleted your post because I heard all this, was going to lead to that. And then I'm lying there at 10 o'clock at night trying to go to sleep, and I'm like, I just don't want this. And so I just made the jump. Joe, thumbs up, thumbs down, pretty much agree with the group.
Thumbs down, man. You're above that, Anik. You don't need to deal with it. There's a guy in the real estate info space that has a very good. He's generated some hate, but just one of the nicest guys in the world. He's incredibly generous. I trust him. He has integrity. He's kept a list of everybody that's ever complained about him, in a negative, bad way, right? Hate and all that, and asked for refunds, et cetera, et cetera. And I've shared with him that list as well. It's a big list, 500 something people. And we have both gone through our Facebook accounts and blocked every single one of them from everything that we ever post. Okay. And it's been amazing. Like the drama has dropped dramatically. And we keep on adding to that list and we share it with each other. And he's a pretty big name, well known. So like if there was a way, we should even maybe talk about this. I don't know if it's a good or bad idea, but if there's a way inside a board of experts or expert summits or something like that, if there's a way to have a bad list that people who ask for refunds or complain in a bad negative way, it's got to be from somebody that you trust, I guess. But it would be wonderful.
It sounds like, George, that sounds like a lawsuit waiting to happen.
That sounds like fun, actually.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
I was just going to say, when you started talking, Joe, but first thing that went to my mind was I don't remember what movie I saw, but whether this guy had a list of people that should disappear, if you know what I mean. I was like, is Joe talking about a list of people who should disappear, if you know what I mean? I'm going, well, that's interesting.
Just block them from Facebook, Instagram. I don't know if you can block people on YouTube, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just the energy. So here's the interesting thing, though. So this morning when I woke up and I was thinking about it, and it led me to think about our experience at times as advertisers with Facebook or Google when they ban our accounts and they just say, bye-bye, don't want to talk to you, no recourse, don't talk to us. And I was like, okay, do I kind of get their point now? Like 5% of me is like, hey, just don't want to deal with our drama. And I've been on the other side of that ban, and it's not fun, and it's infuriating. But in the end, all things considered, I decided I have bigger things I needed to get engaged with today, and I wasn't going to let that drag on. And I told the team, just let it be. And if that person decides to thrash me in the market, well, all the best, because most people would show up for my defense. So
one more thing on it, there's some other guys, and I won't name drop, but that are in similar positions as you, well-known, been in the business a long time, big internet marketing guys. And if you should reach out to some of them and talk to them about what they do and their kind of philosophy behind it. And I'm sure you get some great advice.
Yeah, you're right. There's a couple particularly that run big communities I should ask. All right. So Elon Musk buys Twitter and comes up with the blue check mark that you can pay $12 a month for. And I think I just bought mine. I'm not sure if I've been approved yet. Gets a lot of heat, a lot of backlash. I don't know if you guys are we all Elon fans here? So with the thumbs up, Elon, thumbs down, Elon, can I get thumbs? Okay. There's a lot of Elon haters out there. And so this $11, $12 a month thing gets just like, oh my God, this is so stupid, blah, 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 blah. And then our good old buddy Zucky decides to announce it as well. Now, I will tell you, I have had it and I've given up with Instagram and the Anik profiles. And I have tried, I think I lost my blue check mark I don't know why. And it says like every third day I'm getting messaged by somebody that's like, is this you? Is this you? I'm like, when it says Anik _1592Z3 figure, you just figure it out, damn it. Right? Like, it's not me. And I've given up. People are like, you should be posting about it. You should post stories. You should tell. I'm like, no, because every third day there's 2 new ones. And I'm sorry, this is going to sound harsh, but if you're stupid enough to engage and send 32 Bitcoin to an Anik BTC 942, maybe you don't deserve to keep that Bitcoin, because it sure as hell is not me. All right? Like,
stop the transfer right now. Hang on.
Yes, there you go. Right? So I kind of was like, all right. And Instagram actually literally said there was a day, a time, it was a year plus ago, they said, we're done. We're done trying to police this. It's gotten out of our hands. But now Zucky comes up with what's coming out, rolling out. What do you guys think? What do you think about, George, we'll start with you. What do you think about the buy your own credibility check?
Well, here's what I think. I've been traveling a lot, going to Expert Summit and Board of Experts and a bunch of other events around. And the thing that irks me the most is clear. Like, so I can just pay some money and I'm not a terrorist. I mean, seriously, I'm just like, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's the exact same stuff. Well, I just pay some money. I'm legit now. I'm legit. This is me. It's like, okay.
George, you officially just got a warning status put underneath this episode on YouTube. But thanks for that. Anyway, so yeah, you're right. right.
Are there any other banned words you want to go ahead and drop right now, George?
Yeah, let's drop it right now, and then you can cut that out of the segment.
I don't cut anything. This is a pilot episode. If this gets us screwed, then that tells us more about our freedom of speech and lack thereof than we need to know. But yeah, you're right. So what Clear's argument, George, will be that they run a background check on you and have your fingerprints. I mean, but what if you were fine today and then 3 days from having gone through the background check, you decide you're no longer a nice person? You're absolutely right. Yeah. And I mean, and you just cut right in and go right to the front. So how are you finish connecting that to the blue check mark?
So first off, let me ask you, who's giving you the privilege of being you? You know, is that a government that's giving you the privilege? Is it a multinational corporation who's giving you the privilege?
My mother.
I mean, we're born free. I mean, that's the whole idea, right? We're supposed to be, so a little history. The way that the United States was formed is we're supposed to be sovereigns, which means we are above kings. We're our own kings. Like, actually, the government wasn't even supposed to tell us what to do, right? Not to mention, like, government has become more intertwined with like politics and corporations. If you watch any of the sci-fi movies, I'm totally a sci-fi geek.
By the way, guys, nothing legal about George at all, is there? Like, you guys see the trend, man? I love it. Continue. I'm getting
so if you watch the sci-fi movies, they all like they talk about this future where governments and corporations have merged, you know, and this what you can watch Star Trek from way back when. Everything that has been in Star Trek has come to pass. Even our discussion about AI, I was going to bring up, if you wanted to see, this was foretold like 20, 30 years ago, you know, as far as the computer being able to make decisions. And it's just really, really interesting. There's a whole bunch more we can go on that rabbit trail, but that whole thing is like, are you really an individual? Like, you'll never be able to police someone from coming out and saying, I am the real Anik, you know, I am the real Joe, you know, and just trying to steal your identity. Because trying to steal your identity, it's literally impossible, with the exception of blockchain. Blockchain, because the way that it's structured with wallets and such, there might be something there, but I don't think people have figured that out yet. You know, as far as how to verify identity, because you have the wallet address, or you're able to verify with certain deposits or something to that effect. I think there might be something there in the future that we can use. But this whole idea of like the blue check mark, I mean, it's just another way of fleecing money from people. So good on them for finding a good way of making money. But I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't use Facebook anyway. It's
what problem? What problem? I know I figured that out. I stopped sending you Facebook messages. I got to text you. I figured that out real quick. So first of all, Star Trek and Simpsons. Let's give Simpsons their credit. They predicted a lot of stuff that's happening too. Yes. It's freaky. If anyone's watching this, go to YouTube, type in Simpsons predictions, future traveler, time traveler, whatever. Like, I don't want to get into all that, but man, if you watch some of those video clips that happened years later, like how they're just like layered on top of each other. It's insane. But I did not know about the Star Trek thing, so that's really neat. What is the purpose of the blue check mark? I'm curious. Like, I'm gonna go out and pay for it. Why was it ever? It's created to do what? To say that you're the authentic, like I'm the authentic Anik. Is that the purpose of it?
Yeah, that's the way that I understand it. And I mean, I have a totally different take on this, and it's because I lost my personal profile to a hacker, and
yes, you did.
I can't verify, right? So when I'm looking at this outside looking in, who's going to pay for it, right? Someone who's just a free user on the platform, they're not necessarily worried about the blue check mark. People who want the blue check mark and the officialism of it, they're typically either, you know, a celebrity, they're an opinion writer, or they're just a main source of information, or they're a business. So for me, I'll pay $14 a month all day long to not have to jump through hoops for someone to say, like, okay, how do we verify that this is your real account? I'm still not in my original creator account on Facebook. So the thing that got me was, and we can argue profitability and you know what they do with our ad spend money and things like that, because this is like billions and billions and billions of dollars that they've made over the years of selling ads. There should be robust and more security measures in place to protect users, but there's not. I don't know why there's not, but if $14 gets me heightened security to protect my account, like maybe that's just the only selling point that I would need if I want to leverage an account to be profitable in business and use it as a marketing mechanism.
I got an idea for you on that one. I mean, someone said, I think it might have been at the Mastermind meeting, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. So maybe, and they're selling our data to so many third parties, they got busted for that, and one thing to keep in mind, like maybe if they added, we don't sell your data actually is taken out of the data set or whatever. That would be worth it.
Joe is sold.
What's that?
Joe is sold with that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, then it would make sense.
Or include more privacy.
Right.
Here's the thing. I kind of agree with what Kaci said. Like, I'm going to pay it just because I care about preventing as best I can the ability of somebody else to create a fake profile. But I think from a business standpoint, I think Elon Musk, it was probably a wise decision. This probably has helped their revenue quite substantially and profitability.
He wanted MRR. Yeah.
The other day, this next quarter should be their first like break-even quarter in a really, really long time.
Well, David Sachs is one of the first. David Sachs worked with Elon over at PayPal. They've known each other for a long time. David Sachs is like known as the king of SaaS. He's got a VC fund that does SaaS, and he was one of the key consultants on this Twitter acquisition. So much so that when Twitter was suing Elon Musk, I know David Sachs talked about how he actually got subpoenaed. And so everyone knew that if David Sachs is involved, there's going to be some MRR continuity, something that's going to happen. But what's confusing to me is this, and you guys may or may not know the answer. I'm looking at my phone because I went yesterday and I paid for because you can't on Facebook yet. It's not there yet. On Twitter, I finally said, I'll pay for this thing. And I'm in process, and I keep checking because I'm like, how are they going to confirm it's me though? They've not asked me anything. I've not uploaded any proof, ID. Like I just paid, so I don't get it. Like
they probably can verify it's you from your credit card, right?
All right. So there is some level. Have they talked about what they do behind the scenes once you pay them? Like how to actually verify it's you? Because otherwise anyone can just like, I'm Kaci and I'll just pay. Like, there you go. Now I'm the official Kaci. Like that's the part. Have they said anything? Do you guys know about like what they're doing behind the scenes?
No, but I want them to take my money so that I can get my old profile back.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing. I messaged Kaci. I was asking for a favor and she didn't reply to me for like days. I'm like, damn. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm not on Cassie's favorite list.
That's anymore. The old profile.
Yeah, I know. And then you told me later, you're like, I'm locked out of my profile. I was like, oh crap. All right.
You know what, Anik? As a business marketing company, as we all are, one of the things you can take away from this is the controversy. Despite all of that, right? There's a lot of people paying Twitter this money. A lot of people are going to be paying Facebook. It goes to what you've been talking about, the power of low ticket, especially low ticket continuity. Yeah. That's something we should all be looking at. What are things that we could do in our own business with low ticket continuity that can help? And you may think it's only $7 a month. It's not a big deal, but no. That stuff adds up. And it also brings you more customers willing to open up their wallet and give you money, which then you can promote other things to them.
You get a credit card on the file. On the file.
Low ticket's making a huge comeback. You've been talking about that. I'm seeing that in my own business.
It's, you know what? There's a whole session we're going to talk about stuff, and so we'll talk about this. But yeah, I think anyone who's sleeping on low ticket right now, because I slept a little longer. I did a prediction episode with Lo Silva on this podcast, and I specifically said, and then I didn't do anything with it, my dumbass self. So predicted it, didn't do anything about it. Now it's still time. But it's coming back with a vengeance. I just heard the other day, so yesterday I think it was, Billie Jean agreed to keynote one of our upcoming events. And so he was sharing details on a recent promo he did. And guess what? Low ticket.
You should talk to Anthony Morrison as well. He has this thing he calls the rule of 7. Yeah. And if you go to partnerwithanthony.net or .com or whatever, he's been doing this for a long, long time. Yeah. So he had a little program and I signed up for it and I just duplicated what he did. And I had to shut it down, make some changes because it was too confusing, too similar to my coaching program, but we're about to relaunch it again. And without spending much money at all, we quickly got up to $7 or $8 grand in recurring monthly revenue on a $7 a month thing. But the way he does it, where you get people in at $7, deliver a ton of value, but then give them opportunities to upgrade into other things. It's an amazing ROI. And it's also these little things that we could do. Like he's got 2 or 3 of them. And I just started doing stuff similar to that. $9 a month mastermind, a $10 a month newsletter. You can add these little things in that people, they love, and it delivers high value with it.
Well, I'm not shy to put this out there so you guys know. Some of you may know, the people listening, Learn's completely turning its business model. So we're going to Learn Media. So it's just going to be straight up media model, and low ticket is the name of the game, and newsletters is what we're really going to be going into. And so I have been knee deep in researching and studying newsletters. Actually, I'm going to get one of the co-founders of Morning Brew on the podcast. And low ticket, man. I mean, there are people making fortunes with $7, $8, $9, $10 a month newsletters. I mean, some that are $7, $8, $9, $10 a year. And what they're really just doing is getting a paid subscriber and then selling advertising into that lot. And when you go and knock down a door of an advertiser and say, these people pay, my open rates are 50%, I mean, bam, you're triple charging. So that's a whole nother conversation. So blue check mark, interesting. I don't get it. So if someone's watching this and in the comments, if you could explain to me how they're actually confirming, I'm paying, it's fine. I'm good. I'm going to pay. Hopefully it helps add some protection. And then, George, question for you. You said something interesting. I just want to come back to it. StarTrek predicted everything that's happening. What are some of the other things that you've seen happen that StarTrek predicted? I don't know. I just find that
Well, AI for sure. Cell phones. Think about the little things, right? This was like back in the 50s, 60s. I don't know if it was in the 50s. I think it was maybe like 60s, 70s, right? But cell phones, before there was wireless, they had these wireless technology, right? They were doing all this stuff. Some of the other things, there's actually been a number on the political side, us not needing money anymore. Like they went to a cashless society, right? Where people can expand on their creativity and their humanities and stuff like that. We've elevated above the need for money. That was that kind of how they framed it. That's where we're headed.
Speaking of that, I'm opening my wallet right now. Okay. And here's what I have in my wallet. I have 3,000 or 4,000 rupees. I have I do not have $1 on me in the US. I've been back from India for weeks now. This fascinates me because when I go to India, I have to have wads of cash on me. That's starting to go away now. Now in India, they're getting way ahead. I take a rickshaw ride. I tap my phone. The guy's paid. So they're also moving towards cashless society. But I'm baffled by how long I can go without even $1 in my wallet. I don't know if you guys have the similar situation, but I carry zero cash.
I do just the opposite. I take all the money out of the bank, even on my business account. I probably shouldn't say this online. And I do everything in cash. I've gone so far as to go out and order several $100 worth of $2 bills from my bank, which you can just order them in stacks of $2 bills. And that's how I pay for things, because it's such a rarity to see a $2 bill. Bring cash back. And if you turn the $2 bill.
What exactly are you paying for? Where are you going? Is that on a Friday night, George?
That's every night.
$2 bills. Wait, why? Why are you doing that? Where are you keeping all this cash? What, do you keep it under your so you don't use banks? You don't keep cash?
No, I use banks. I'm just saying I don't like to have my transactions tracked. Because if you put everything on a card, they know exactly what you're buying, how you're buying it, where you're buying it, when you're buying it, and all that other stuff. And it's just a matter of time before they use that against you. I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but I value my privacy.
So during the apocalypse, I'm going to find George, and wherever he's off grid,
if you can
he's
find
survivalist.
All right, here's what we're going to do.
I'm going to find him before he goes off grid.
We're going to find George, and we're going to take him to Joe's land, and we're all going to hang out in the land that Joe's bought. All right. We're kind of pivoting into this. We're talking a little bit about privacy tracking. I've given up on that. I think the government knows what I'm doing, and if they find that interesting, good for them. what is going on in the world right now? So we've got this, like, it's become a dichotomy now where people are like, we are going to have recession. The world's going to come to an end. There's going to be this big. But I feel like we're getting numb to it. Like, there's a war happening in Ukraine that no one talks about anymore, that doesn't seem to impact how we're spending or what we're doing. There's earthquakes happening. Last I read, 45,000 people dead in Turkey, yet we're still sending billions of dollars one direction and not really sending one direction here. I'm not trying to say either or. I'm a little fascinated by some of our government's spending habits. I know that's a very political topic. Different people have different opinions. Something that caught my attention yesterday watching international news. I like to watch a lot of BBC Worldwide. I just like to know what's going on in the world. So I watch a little US news too, but I find US news is completely oblivious to the world. Like, they do not talk about the world at all. Like, we live in America. America is the world. This is like all we live in. BBC World News reports Pakistan's inflation rate in January was 27.6%. That's reported. It's probably higher. That's the government trying to manipulate that number to be low, probably 27.6%. And even though interest rates are through the roof, in January, even in America, consumer spending went up by 1.8%. We're still spending. Layoffs are happening. We're still spending. Interest rates are through the roof. I'm a little confused.
Everyone got their check. Everyone got their check. Of course they're spending.
But it's gone now. Was there a new check that went out that I don't know about?
I think there was like three rounds at least of checks that went out to people, plus everyone who's just completely not wanting to go back to work. They're just applying for assistance. I mean, there's just money being doled out like this. It's like watching a rap video. It's crazy.
Apparently, I got the whole there were a lot of COVID checks and stuff argument for a while. I feel like we're 2023 now. Like, that money, how much did you get? Like, how long can you live off of that? Okay, so let's go through this. I'll come back to my opinion last. George, is there a big kaboom coming? Is there a reckoning coming? Recession, collapse of economy, something big?
It's happened so many times in history. Weimar Republic. I mean, you can go back. Every country who's ever gone off of the gold standard at some time, when they start doling out money, and their currency is not backed by anything, it always falls apart at some point. The question is, like, how much will it fall apart? If they keep printing money, will we ever notice it? I went and bought a stack of Zimbabwe. I think it was $10 trillion bills. Like, I spent $2,000 and I bought these $10 trillion bills. They're now worth about $50 each because they're collector's items. But it's like, how do you get there? It's the same thing. We're dealing with that right now, whether it's the economy that's going to implode, the dollar becomes less valuable, or I think it's also going to be a scenario where AI is going to take everyone's jobs. It was predicted that by 2030, 30% of the population is going to be out of work from automation, robotics, and AI. I mean, we're already seeing that right now.
And that's going to bring up the whole universal income thing, right?
I think that's the ultimate goal, actually, is to get everyone on UBI, and they're going to create a digital dollar. It's already been passed. It was earmarked, I don't know if you know that or not, in some of the bills that passed during the COVID times, a digital dollar. It's on the books. It's ready to come out. And as soon as they do that, they can turn your account off like that because they're airdropping money into your wallet. They're making everything very easy.
Kaci, what do you think about what George just shared?
Oh, hands down. Yeah. I mean, it's not being reported, but it's happening. I mean, look at the price of eggs. Look at I was teasing, we've got 4 kids. We used to go to Kids Eat Free at Moe's, and Moe Monday used to be $5. It's $6.29 now, right? Like, we're experiencing the same thing. I have family who is in, we grew up in the whole service, like retail industry on the food side. So just with those, they're going back to the buyers, and it's like, we've got to raise our prices minimum of 30% just to break even with what we were surviving by since COVID, right? So it's a trickle down effect that it's happening, but at the same time, big scale consumer behavior, it is exactly like what you said. It's not necessarily changing. I remember going in 2020, like to the outdoor malls and the park that you can't find a parking spot. So people are still consuming, they're still spending money. It's just, is it racking up debt that they're really not concerned about?
They're going to spend money on two things I've learned over been through a couple like recessions. Entertainment, because when people are in a bad way, they want to forget their life. Entertainment and substances, if you know what I mean. Whether you're drinking or you're doing other things, anything that's going to take their mind off, or kids. Because even during some of the worst recessions we had during like the 2000 or whatever, I was teaching music lessons, living out in California, and I saw an uptick in my students. They were coming to take drum lessons from me. And you would think, oh, that's just the opposite of what I would think. Everyone's going to be conservative and like pulling in a little bit, but no, they actually were spending more. They're like, I guess they wanted to shield their kids from having some of these memories from their childhood. So entertainment is one of those things that will always, and BizOp too, is going to be booming. Network marketing companies are going to explode again. It happens every time. People look for easy, I would say get rich quick schemes, but things that look a little bit too easy. And they can get into business like this by just paying their $10 or $100 a month. And a lot of those, like you mentioned earlier, like the $7 cheap things, like people want to be in business, they're tired of working for other people, and they're going to keep spending money.
So that's real quick, Joe, that's another thing that's come up that I've wondered a lot. Even here we'll say, hey, inflation 7%, 6% or whatever, but cost of eggs, forget the cost of eggs. So for some reason, there's a lot of egg intake in my house. Like we all eat a lot of eggs. And so when we were doing the Instacart thing, we tried to order 3 cartons of eggs and it said no. It said you are limited to 2. And I'm sitting there thinking, who the hell do you think you are limited? What? Like, wait. Where are we living where you're telling me how many eggs I can buy? And that was when I went Googling and found out, oh, there's like this whole like thing around eggs right now. But most things like, okay, so we host events, right? So I remember my wife who does our event planning, she comes to me and she's like, the costs have just gone through the roof since prior to the pandemic, prior to 2020. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So you get one of those pop-up stands we were paying $80-$90 for. She's like, it's literally like $200 now. I'm like, well, that's not a 6-7% inflation. It's like a double price. Food, we pay for amazing lunches and stuff for our people. We've been fortunate because we're friends with the restaurant owners, so they've kept it light on us. But we wanted to see about diversifying, trying different catering, different restaurants. I'm not joking when I say the kind of spread that we provide to our audience when they come for lunch. If we went out now and went elsewhere, it's gonna be like, it's right now we pay like $24 a head. The closest one we're getting is $55 for that kind of food. And so I'm sitting here looking, I'm like, most things I'm looking at did not go up by 6, 7, 8%. It went up by a hell of a lot more. It's just not being talked about. Joe, question for you. How do you think this impacts us as marketers, entrepreneurs in the information marketing world? There has to be some roll down, right? I have my opinion. I've been through a couple of these, but what's yours? What do you think?
Well, when COVID hit, I really dug deep and studied the Great Depression, what happened in the last recession that we had in 2008. And you see there's a lot of companies that are created during recessions and depressions, right? And I think I want to be a producer, not a consumer. And I'm always talking to my kids about that. Like, you need to have the mindset of with every opportunity, with every crisis comes new opportunities, new things. So wealth doesn't disappear, it transfers. So I started studying what are the companies or the sectors that did really well in the Great Depression. And I made a list here of about 7 or 8 things that companies did to adjust and survive and thrive in the Great Depression and the recession. First one, they had cash before the crash, right? They started eliminating their debt. They had little to no debt. They used cash. They used that cash then to buy assets at huge discounts. So when the market and the economy crashed, they had the money then to buy other assets. So they started diversifying. They also started lowering their prices. They were able to lower their prices. They and increased their marketing. The companies that actually did well during Great Depressions and recession started spending more money on marketing for those lower price products because marketing became cheaper. So they got really creative with new marketing, creating new incentives. And then the final point is they didn't forget the small guy. They started targeting the small guy and doing well. And I don't have all of the examples here in front of me, but I have some articles here, but like study it for yourself. Just go to Google and do a search for companies that survived Great Depression. What did they do and which companies died during the Great Depression? It's a pretty fascinating subject. And let me say one more thing. Rockefeller, right when I was studying this, I went to New York City, went to Rockefeller Center, and there's a little museum in there for him. And it was fascinating to see pictures from the Great Depression and these guys that were begging people to buy their really nice cars for $100 or whatever. And during that time, Rockefeller actually started creating jobs. He started creating jobs. He was a producer, not a consumer. And he created like 75,000 jobs. And that's where he built the Rockefeller Center, was during the Great Depression. So I was thinking, that's what I want to be like. I want to be that guy that's creating jobs for people. Yeah.
So to me, it sounds like so by the way, anyone listening probably want to rewind and listen to those points again. It's super powerful, but people who are succeeding during these times are leaning into them. They're not retreating. Yes. They're accelerating, and that's where the success is coming. But a little bit of that also has to do with they prepared. They were wise with their money and cash. Like first thing you said, they were cash heavy. And I've heard, this is not the first time I've heard this. I've heard this again and again. And actually, it is proven. Someone did a study. I don't have it in front of me. And like I said, next time in the future, I'll be more prepared. There was actually a study done where some of the best companies today, some of the biggest, most valuable companies today in the market, in the open stock market, were actually created during recession times, were founded during recession times. Hey, if you're creating a startup and you're looking for developers, guess what? This is the best time, because in 2020, when I was looking for developers, it cost me literally my left arm. I mean, it was insane.
You know which company started during the crash of 08 and 09? Uber, Airbnb, WhatsApp, Pinterest, Slack, and Stripe.
There you go. There you go. So there you go. Lots of opportunity for us waiting. But there is going to be, lean into it. What I've decided to do is, here's what I'm doing. So I've decided to start building funnels that are regardless going to do well. So if the economy doesn't crash, great, it'll do well. If it does kind of go now south, I think it'll do well. That's why I've been talking so much about low ticket funnels, because I think low ticket funnels work really well in both spaces, especially if you have the depth of it. All right. Now I'm going to pivot a little bit. Then I got some rapid fire questions I want to ask you guys about that are a little bit more marketing related, a little bit more entrepreneurship related. This is a quick one. I'm just curious. I don't know why this one just, there's people that are very concerned about it. And I think, George, maybe you'll have a strong opinion. We'll start with you. There's some people that don't care. I don't know why I'm on like the don't care side. TikTok. You got it's become quite the political issue. So Republicans are like, ban it, ban it, ban it. China's stealing all our stuff. I feel like China's probably already stolen. I don't know. I feel like they already have all the info probably. And then now it's becoming like in the EU, it's becoming a big thing. It's reviving itself in the US. There's some bills on the floor where TikTok is just becoming a hot topic again. I haven't really done too much study, but even like the FBI director came straight up recently and said it's a threat to our security. Like this, the director of the FBI literally said TikTok's a threat to our security. I feel like that's kind of important. So George, you said privacy is important to you. I'm pretty sure you're probably not on TikTok. Are you worried about the fact that 99% of the rest of the country is?
I'm less worried about TikTok because it's Chinese than I am worried about the stuff that the government sticks their nose into. Our U.S. government, I should say. Because, for one, I'm not giving away national secrets on my TikTok when I dance, or whatever. It's not happening, right? You're not going to figure out how to smuggle stuff onto a plane, by watching my videos or whatever the scenario is. But I'm not too worried about the TikTok thing. I think what's interesting about TikTok, from the angle of business, is that it wasn't originally called TikTok. It's called Musical.ly. So if you look back at like a rebrand, and just think about this. It could be the same thing. The same technology underlying would come out. If it's not TikTok, it's probably out 2 or 3 different times. They do the same thing with YouTube videos. The same video comes out 2 or 3 different times, just different accounts, same exact video, slight tweaks. You're never going to be able to end that. And there's probably 10 Chinese companies already doing something like that right now. And that's just the one that hit. But sometimes it's necessary to do a rebrand to get people, to have them really understand. So anyone who does the history and does the research on that, Musical.ly versus TikTok, it's very interesting.
Well, so for TikTok, the threat that they're saying isn't quite frankly like the content will train people to do weird stuff. What I've read is a couple things. One, there's this whole thing where they say if you're in China, and the youth is watching TikTok, it's all like constructive, educational. It's like all this positive stuff. They artificially make sure that the right content that empower the youth is boosted. Whereas when it comes to US, they try to make sure that all the kids that are twerking and doing all the stupid stuff, like lighting their hands on fire, lighting their hair on fire, that's what's getting, and so they're
China's trying to make us stupid, is that what you're saying? So they're allowing the stupid stuff in America, and they're trying to.
Yes. So there's an actual argument about, they're saying that that China's methodically making the Western world stupid to over time take over. I think we do a good enough job making ourselves stupid. So it's my personal opinion. But
hello, MTV generation.
Yes. Yeah.
Real World, all of that type of stuff. That was on our soil.
Bachelor, Bachelorette, marrying people without seeing them. These are shows that I see my wife binge sometimes. I'm like, what is going on in this world? Okay. So the second thing that they will say they're worried about with TikTok is that because they know what all the kids and all the people, not just kids now, it's a lot of adults using TikTok too, is that China can inject messaging and mess with us and get us to think a certain way to impact our politics. To me, it's just it sounds like a lot of hard work. If China wanted to do something to us, I just find like there's easier ways they could do it than like this like convoluted multi-year strategy. But I don't know enough about this stuff. I'm not like, this is like the worst, I'm like the least intelligent in this area. But I was just curious if you guys give a crap about TikTok being banned or not.
Well, that's censorship. I mean, when you get down to it, bottom line, I mean, if you look at censorship is basically training a society to think a certain way, to act a certain way. They say art mimics life and life mimics art. So if you look at the social media I think it's the opposite way. Life mimics social media these days. So what's on social media, what they allow through social media is what life will look like in a very short window of time.
Yeah.
Okay. So that goes more than just China.
So you're saying banning TikTok is censorship, or you are for banning TikTok? You're saying we shouldn't be messing with it.
I think, well, first thing I always say is this. When the best way to win a fight is to be like, hey, look at this, bam, right? You catch him with a hook. I mean, the fighting entrepreneur, right? So, I mean, when the people don't know what's going on behind the scenes, like if people really paid attention to what was going on during the Michael Jackson trials, during the O.J. Simpson trials, all the legislation was being shoved down the throats. When read the Patriot Act, there's nothing patriotic about it at all. So what I would say is this: if they're making a big deal out of it, I would say there's something else going on.
Not paying attention to.
That's exactly right. Get them talking about points that are non-relevant to what they're really trying to do.
Yeah. Wow. I would say I have a pretty healthy dose of conspiracy theorists too. So like, I really like this dialogue. And that was the first thing that came to my mind is like, okay, so now the FBI is going to come out and say, we're concerned about TikTok. Has the FBI came out and said, we're concerned about human trafficking. We're concerned about the splitting of the nation and the news channels. They're only getting in a wind tunnel on the right and a wind tunnel on the left. No, this is like, where's the dancing monkey that we can get everybody up in arms about? And what are we going to work through that we don't want people paying attention to? Like, I 100% believe like when things like that, it was the same thing with when the vaccine came out. It was just like, boom, like, let's just let that little bomb go off and we'll go work on other things. That's the thing is that question comes up for me. What do they not want us paying attention to?
Yeah. So that part, trust me or not, we're probably going to have to do some bleeps because I just mentioned the C word on one of my videos and I didn't even say anything bad about it. I just talked about my experience at Expert Summit 1, which is where I think all of you were. I got after that. See, now we're gonna have to bleep that out because I got the C word after that. And all I did was talk about my experience with it. I did not say anything bad. I did not make a political statement. I did not talk about the V word. I did not say anything. I just said my experience. And I basically said, guys, it sucked. Be careful. And my views tanked, went down by half after I released that episode on YouTube. And miraculously, a month later, I got demonetized as well. So none of my videos make any money. So I went from making $5 or $6 grand a month. The new channel, actually, I started specifically, no, that's a different reason. So the reason I started the new YouTube channel is because my work with Ryan McGinn, where we're making all these crazy shorts where I'm talking about all kinds of random stuff, what we found was it's helping grow the channel. It's definitely helping get my brand out. I'm running into people all the time. They're like, hey, you're the YouTube guy, which is great. And it's getting that kind of mass exposure. But it was bringing in all these subscribers from like people that are watching my video about like how I spent $25,000 on toilets. It's like, well, they're not going to care about watching entrepreneurial long form content. And that's what was translating. My long form was starting to struggle and my shorts were just booming. So what we just decided to do was say, you know what, lean into it. So if that's kind of my life with Anik Singal, that's what we're going to be renaming it eventually to Life with Anik Singal. And even my long form content on that channel is going to kind of become a little bit more generalist so that people can absorb it and like it. And then I really wanted to, with the Anik Singal Show, I just really wanted to pull away and start a little fresh and just rebuild a following for the show that just likes the show. And I don't care if it doesn't get to millions of followers or whatever, but that was why the separate channel was, you know, the algorithms in YouTube had already been faltered to a degree that I didn't think I could restore, which was, hey, long form in this channel, nobody cares, don't syndicate it. Shorts, syndicate the hell out of it. So I just said, all right, we'll start a new one where we train it. And we train it so that even the shorts that I'll do on the new YouTube channel will be podcast related only. There will be snippets we pull from our podcast. So will they get 20,000 views, 30,000? No, but they'll get 1,000 views of a people that are interested in the topics we discuss in the podcast. So short answer to why I did that. But yeah, it's crazy. But so it's interesting. Joe, what do you think? You think we got a little bit of that going on in the government where they're like, look, bow.
Yeah, it's all fascinating, but I'm looking at it also from a marketer's standpoint. Like, okay, how can I take advantage of this situation in a greedy little marketer's mind way? For example, I'm on the fence. I kind of lean more right, but I know a lot of my friends who are deep into conspiracy theories are all at Rumble right now and Truth Social and all these other platforms, right? And I've not done any ads yet on Rumble. Rumble's like a YouTube alternative, right? With no threats of ever being kicked off, right? It's like the free speech. It's the new free speech platform of the conservative right for the most part, right? And sure enough, you go there, there are tons and tons of ads from these huge financial opportunities markets, gold, silver, crypto. You're seeing a lot of, I don't know how much it costs yet, but if seeing these ads is any indication, and you're seeing a lot of them, that it's working, because there's a huge captive audience there. So I'm going to ride the TikTok train as long as I can, because I know I have customers there, and I don't care necessarily as much about the politics of it all. I just know my customers with money are there. So, and also the same with Instagram or YouTube. And I'm not a TikTok expert like I want to be yet, but I also know my ideal customer is, because I sell real estate investing training. They're in the 30s to 50s, right? They're conservative, they're male, they're self-proclaimed patriots. They're concerned about government overreach. They're concerned about China. They are pro GUN, they're anti-VAX, and and guess where they are? They're over there at Rumble, right? Yeah. And so what if I could take my real estate investing course on land investing and tweak my message to reach that audience? Hey, do you want a place to hide? When the government comes to give you the jab, why don't you buy some vacant land? Here, I have this course that teaches you how to do that.
Well, but that's interesting, right? But what a practical approach. So, hey, people can have their own opinions. I don't have to hate them. I have my own opinions, but hell, I'll use it for marketing. And I think that was for the longest time, I had an issue with Facebook. I think my relationship with Facebook's been a little bit repaired, but I really didn't like it. Yet I was spending $500,000 to $600,000 a month in any given month. Even today, I probably spent $3-4 grand today on Facebook. So I'm giving Zucky all kinds of money. And I'm like, well, you know what? It's got my customers, and I don't like some of the things they do. I don't, but I can sit here and be I could be an activist or I can just run my business. I chose to run my business. Politics is not my career. So I think for a lot of people, you know, they would judge that. They would say, oh, you stand for nothing and you do for nothing, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? We stand for our business and for the opportunity of getting our products in front of people and changing their lives, and we'll go where they are.
If you get too political, like no one's going to see your stuff.
Yeah.
Right. If you stand up for too many causes, no one, the algorithms and the censorship will mean that no one sees your stuff.
Well,
Absolutely.
I mean, for me, like the ultimate way to support your cause is like, I want to write my own dang check, right? Like I want to grow my business and grow my impact and pour into the causes and the charities that are important to me. I don't have to like throw boulders at other people. It's like what Joe said, social media, especially organic, they are free traffic sources. Even the paid social media sources, you're like to take out a 2-page ad in a magazine. Come on, right? One, you're not going to get the distribution like you did when that was the only option, but like a billboard on the highway or a park bench, $8,000, you can put $8,000 into paid social media traffic and get millions upon millions of quality views on what you're doing. So it's one of those things where like leverage the heck out of it, grow your business, be profitable, and support the causes that you want to and create the impact you want.
You know what's fascinating? Can I say this real quick? Yeah. Fox News, whatever you think of Robert Murdoch, was that his name? Rupert Murdoch?
Rupert Murdoch. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Brilliant marketer. Right. And he just admitted today or yesterday in the news that, well, I won't get into Trump, but like it was pretty weird. But anyway, super smart guy. This is somebody now what you could, there's people that hate him on both sides of the political aisle. Mm-hmm. But you can't accuse him of being a bad marketer. And if I've talked to people who've worked at Fox News, and the only conservatives that they have working at that stations are the ones that are on the shows. Everybody else behind the camera, super liberal, right?
Wow, really?
Crazy, yes. And I got that from an inside guy who.
And how do they work there then? They just absorb it, they just eat it, they don't care? Because it's pretty.
They know where the money is. I mean, why do you think they're the number one rated cable news network above them all? Because they know what their audience wants and they give it to them.
But conservatives who work for them.
Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of we like the news stations are marketers too, right? A lot of the stir the pot stories that they do. The thing is, like, we don't know until the biographies come out what former president consistently played golf with other former presidents from like opposing parties, right? Because it's whatever narrative and whatever story someone wants to play to, like, you know, mess with the puppet strings. And the thing about it is, like, at the end of the day, like when the camera's rolling, it's marketing. When the camera's off and they're in the coffee room and the break room and things like that, they are human, right? And they're probably having pretty cool conversations when the camera's not rolling.
You're right. No, absolutely. It's a show. It's a show. I remember that picture during the whole, like, you know, obviously when Biden got elected and he came into office and there was a lot of issues and this and that. I can't remember the name from the Republican side. He was very vocal, and there was a picture of him fist bumping Kamala Harris. And it was like one of those, like, you didn't know the cameras were on moments. Right. And he got a big smile. She's got a big smile and he's fist bumping. And that thing people went nuts over it. But I was like, yeah, I mean, they work together. They probably all eat the same place. I had a story. It was told by a friend of mine. So he was in a deposition and the attorney on the other side was from the government. And he said it was like the hardest for like 6-7 hours of his life. He said the attorney just went at him. He was like, it was nasty. And he goes, you know, I would never wanted to go through that ever again. Well, afterwards, he said he went downstairs and they were outside. Him and his attorney were outside just having a cigarette. That opposing attorney walks down, lights up a cigarette, standing right with them and says, you guys from around here, what's good for dinner? I'm trying to look for a place to go to dinner. And my friend's like, I was completely just like baffled. And the two attorneys just started chatting like as if they had been best friends for life. He's like, I sat there and I'm like, you just got done ripping me a new one for 6 hours and you want me to tell you where to go have dinner? But they're in that room, they're a show. They gotta put on a show. They don't actually have a problem with you. They'd have dinner with you right afterwards. They're just like, but in that moment, we have a case to run. All right, so moving right along, we're gonna do this rapid fire. I want to make it quick. First question I'm going to throw at you guys is favorite source of paid traffic for 2023, where you think you'll be putting the most money in. Quick answers, no and, ifs, or buts. Joe.
Direct mail.
Direct mail. Wow. All right. Might have to come back to that one in a future episode. So you mean like physical mail, like mailing people right in like their post office, like good old.
Yep. And I'm sending it to primarily first my own customers who've bought anything from me in the past 3 years, 4 or 5 years. I'm sending them a letter for other things that I sell. Email open rates, 20%, direct mail open rates, 80, 90%, just completely bulk. And these are buyers. And now you can also rent other people's buyers lists who are in the same industry, same space, and rent their lists from them. So yeah, direct mail.
All right. Kaci?
Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube.
It's all of them. All right.
Yeah, that's what I was
George.
going to say too. Those three.
All right. For me, right now, it's Facebook. But I have a feeling TikTok's going to make a raging entry into our business. Favorite source for social media, like community building. Kaci, start with you.
Facebook still dominates, in my opinion.
All right, George.
For community building?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take a look at Circle. They're doing some interesting things.
They are. We recently just set one up for another brand of ours. So circle.co is where you can find that. SO. It's circle. That's something. All right. It's not. It's definitely not com. Joe.
As much as I hate to say it, I don't like Facebook groups, but that's where I get the most engagement for my customers. Facebook groups.
All right. Facebook groups. All right. Biggest opportunity in 2023 that you think people are sleeping on, George?
Boy, that's a good one. I would like to say email, because I think email is going to always be the biggest channel until it's not, as far as the highest buying intent. And until that gets replaced or disrupted, I'd say that. But I think anything AI, is probably the biggest opportunity right now.
Still too many people sleeping on that. Honestly, I agree with you. Kaci?
I'm going to take a different route because I know we're going to get opinions on others. I'm going to say relationships.
Yes, I was going to say that. So
beat you to it.
Yeah, great. Well, we can talk a little bit about why. Joe,
biggest opportunity in 23?
Yeah, that you think people are sleeping on.
I had an answer. Low ticket was probably my number one choice. The other one is direct mail.
Direct mail, yeah. I debated a lot between like low ticket, which I really think is a huge opportunity. If you guys are not doing low ticket right now and you're selling information, you're selling products, like you're just missing out. But then I was like, well, what am I really investing in? What has been my big thing that's got a return that's been insane? And that's relationship. That's the fact that I know Joe, Kaci, and George, and I know enough about them to write little one-liner quibs about them before we start the episode. I have a community I'm building where people are posting questions and I'm able to tag. I know who knows the answer to this and I'm tagging people out. I'm spending time with these people face to face. I'm spending time with them one-on-one. It's a lot of work. And I'm loving every freaking minute of it. But this community, one by one, the way we're building it and the way that community is going out and representing the community and talking about it and bringing people to us has just been such an honor. I've never experienced anything like this in 20 years. I mean, this is the most intimate I've been. Now, of course, we're also, it's a much higher level. You have to invest a lot more to get into the community, but that's allowing us to be able to do that. So, Kaci, I agree with you. I think because there's so much AI and automation and robotics and so much, I actually think it's creating a reverse opportunity where the human touch is actually like nice. Like I'll tell you one thing right now. I absolutely hate, not like I have a solution to it right now, even at Learn, but man, I'm so tired of calling and it's like, welcome. If you're calling for this, type 1. If you're calling, like, just get me. I just want to talk to a human, for crying out loud. Like, even at my doctor's office, like, please just, just don't make me go through a 7-layer of thing and then call drops halfway through. And I feel like the more that's happening, the more the company that can come out and say, hey, by the way, when you call us, pick up, like us, like someone, a human from our company. There's a pharmacy that I work with for my meds, and every time I call, they just pick up. Like, it's within 3 rings, they pick up, how can I help you? And they actually help. And I swear you'll never get me to use another pharmacy. And that's the only reason, is because people pick up. So,
Anik, there's one thing I just want to chime on something else. I totally forgot. When I talk about the AI thing, the one thing that kept me through, and anyone else I know through like demics and whatever else they had to deal with, was residual income. I think there's a huge opportunity right now for residual income to create recurring streams of income that we should be taking advantage of right now, today, because no matter if your industry gets disrupted and everyone loses their job due to whatever, residual income keeps on happening. And it's like, I would just say for anyone who's listening, like, you got to get your monthly nut covered with some residual income channel now.
I will tell you, I did that thanks to my wife, who pushed us to do it, because I'm not a big investor. I like entrepreneurship and making. We did it with real estate, and our real estate income is far more than what we need to live a pretty good life. And man, I tell you, it definitely allows you a lot more flexibility to go out there and be an entrepreneur, because you're not worried about like losing it all, right? So you're right. Invest your money, invest it wisely. George, where can people go to learn more about you? Give us some URLs, promote yourself.
Sure. 360 Summits.
360summits.com. And he means it. He's always doing summits. This guy is the master of it. If you want to know about summits, go to 360summits.com. Kaci?
Yeah, we're at freedomtoimpact.com.
freedomtoimpact.com. If you guys want to learn how to implement systems in your business, their mission is about to be, and maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but they're going to show us entrepreneurs who work our butts off. Her and her business partner, Rhonda, hi Rhonda, are going to share you how to get to a 3-day work week. So you only work 3 days. And I'm super excited. Like, I want that. I really want that. Joe, where can people find you and buy a bunch of land so that we can retreat to it when the world comes to an end?
I have a class that I teach. If you go to simplelandflips.com, simplelandflips.com, that'll redirect you to a page where you can watch a little class I did on it and get an opportunity to buy my course. It's a really good program. I've been teaching for a long time, and I've never had more testimonials of success from students than this. It's really amazing.
I love it. And I was there to see the creation of the whole thing. I feel like I've been watching the birthing of this process, and it's been really fun.
And the greatest opportunity, I think one of them is extend the funnel.
Yes, extend the funnel. All right. We're going to leave them on that cliffhanger, because we'll talk more about that. I don't know if you guys know, but Thomas actually bought the URL for me, and I am thinking about doing a challenge at extendthefunnel.com where we spend 3 days teaching I actually have 12 ways I wrote down that you can extend your funnel. And I thought that would be super awesome for experienced marketers. It's like, it's guaranteed you're going to make more money, right? Like, you can't not make money by extending the funnel. Is the one way you can guarantee you'll make more money. Now that we've left everybody with that cliffhanger, to the three of you, thank you so much for participating in the first ever pilot episode of Expert Talk. I thought it was fun. What'd you guys think?
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
Great.
Oh, good. Yeah.
An hour and a half went by. I didn't even realize it. And so let's see what the audience thinks. If you guys loved it, tell us. If you hated it, that's okay. You can tell us too. We don't really care.
We start getting death threats in the mail, then we'll know something's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. If we piss off,
or we're really onto something.
We all get deplatformed.
If we upset enough people, we're on to something, everybody. So with that said, I don't know. Let us know what you think. Comments are below, everybody. We love you guys. We'll see you on the next one. This is Anik Singal saying, go to onikshow.com to binge listen to all of our stuff. And when life pushes you, stand straight, smile, and push it the heck back. See you later. Bye.